It may not be the best weekend of racing, but we are still here previewing it anyway. It is the Next Gen Racing YouTube channel here for your weekend preview where, Jack, like I say, look, I haven't really started on the best note there in terms of positivity, but it's that lead up time to Royal Ascot. It's very similar to what we get when we get to Cheltenham time, isn't it? A couple of weeks before the racing kind of dies down. It's not too exciting, but you're kind of getting yourself excited for that big week in mid-June.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're spot on. Every day is one step closer to Royal Ascot, isn't it? I know we're both heading over to Goodwood today on Friday, so no, it'd be good fun to head over there. But more or less, the racing this week isn't that great, but still a few betting opportunities nonetheless.
Absolutely, and Apprentice Night at Goodwood this evening, probably just as exciting as the racing this weekend, to be totally honest. But just want to say quickly, we have been reading all of your comments in the comment section from the last two videos. We appreciate all the feedback. Jack and I are going to be discussing over the next week or so and kind of working on how we can preview more races, try and keep it as engaging as possible, and you will hear more on that over the next few weeks. So do look out for that, as well as an announcement when our Royal Ascot preview will be as well. We're going to be covering 4 races from Haydock. Like I say, there might not be too much confidence in all of our selections, but there are a few selections I'm sure that Jack's got a little bit of confidence in, the same with myself. And we kick things off with the 115 at Haydock, which is the 5 furlong Sky Bet Achilles Stakes, a listed contest. And Equilateral's the 130 favourite, Regional 7-2. Prince of Philo's 6-1, Rassel's 7-1, Clarendon House 9-1, and double figures bar these. Jack, looking at the market here, Equilateral hasn't won for a long time. Do you think it's the Frankie Dettori factor that's made this horse the favourite?
Yeah, I think so. Of course, he was second here, a couple of weeks ago as well in the Temple Stakes, wasn't he? Behind Dramatised as well. But look, he's one of those that's being very consistent at the top level. He's 8 years old now and he's 3-1. I'm not too sure he's really a betting proposition at 3-1. I think it's a very scratchy race. I mean, I've actually gone and backed one at a bigger price at Mondam Edge, who's only ran at Haydock twice when he was 4th in the Temple Stakes last year and then bolted up back in 2021, getting the better of Copper Knight on crick ground. He was second at York in a handicap, carrying quite a bit of weight as well behind Chipstead last time out. And I just think he's good on quick ground. He's a solid sprinter. Unlike Equilateral, we know he can kind of handle it. At the age of 6, he's definitely probably not going to be regressing just yet, as we saw at York last time out. He definitely has a lot to find on ratings, but he's 16-1. He likes it at Haydock, and he may be able to grab a place.
Yeah, Golden Monument, what a legend he is. Everyone seems to love this horse. And I like one at a big price as well. I think Makarova's going to go really well in this field. Ed Walker's horse, Tom Marquand, takes the ride. Was 33-1 when I last saw the bet, now 28-1. A little bit of money's come as I'm talking about him. But you look at the form of this horse, has 2 runs this season, but you look at the opening run at Newmarket and a listed contest there, and Azure Blue won that race, but you had Heredia in second, Perdika in third. And Perdika since come out and won impressively at Chantilly. And I've got a feeling that, the form of this is going to work out quite well, and Azure Blue, like at York, put up a really strong performance. And I just have this feeling as a 4-year-old in this field, one of the younger horses could be kind of slowly moving forward. I think it's far too overlooked against some horses who do have their quirks, some horses who haven't won for a little while. And I'll be taking a chance that Makarova can get his head in front here. I think could be quite a talented horse at 28-1. So a few big price selections each way for myself and Jack in the opening race there. Let's move on to the 225, which is a handicap which we don't often get stuck into, but a mile and a half here for a class 2 event. And Cumulonimbus is 7-2. Good Show is 5-1. Get Shirty is 13-2. Dark Pine is 8-1. Forza Auto also 8-1. One Smooth Operator 10-1. And 12-1, and bigger the rest. I found this really, really difficult, Jack, and I'm sure you did, probably having a brief look over it, but I might take a chance with a small stake. It's definitely a weekend for small stakes if you are having a punt. But I'd take a chance on the side Bin Surreal horse, or one of his, which is Live Your Dream, who's been off the track for a long, long time, over 600 days. But you can go back and look at this horse's form over staying trips, more like a mile 6, 2 miles, even further than that. But won a really good handicap at the July course at Newmarket on good to firm ground, beating some good horses back in 2021. The likes of Global Storm, East Asia, Roginski, even, you can look through the back of the field, and the Max We Can was in there. And back in 21, Max We Can was quite a handy handicap over staying trips. And I just have a feeling with regards to the fact this horse has been off the track for a long time, he doesn't have to be 100% fit over this trip because you know he gets further. So even if he does kind of blow out, in the final few furlongs, you still think he'd have enough in him over these trips, and I'm sure they'll put him up to a staying trip in near time. So yeah, I think look, 12-1's fair price. You might see a little bit of money come from this. You might see it drift. Either way, it'll. I think I'd have a small stake on Live Your Dream and take a chance on this horse, but that'll be my selection, Jack. What about yourself in here?
Yeah, it's so tricky, isn't it? You got Cumulo Nimbus, who won at Newmarket last time out. Good Show won at Hamilton last time out. Then it's very interesting you actually mentioned the Sabine Binsurol, one of the Sabine Binsurol pair, Live Your Dream, because it's very interesting. I see he's got an entry from the Northumberland Plate as well. Then you've also got Global Heat and Get Shirty, of course, had their world trips out to Meydan as well. It's a very tricky race. I'm not going to be having a bet for myself. Global Heat was the one that I probably could have stuck my neck out for if it was anything. It was fifth at Goodwood last time out. Hung horribly right, which was a little bit uncharacteristic. He's been dropped a pound for that. He's still got a mark of 103 to contend with, but he's better off at the weights as it gets Shirty. But he won over 1.6 in Meydan. 1.5 miles shouldn't be any problem dropping back to that trip. He was fifth, staying on fifth in a Group 2 at Meydan on his penultimate run, and hopefully over 1.5 miles he can bounce back.
Yeah, no, I can see that as well. So the Sabine Binsurol horses are very, very interesting in the handicap, and they'd be the way that we'd be siding. Let's go on to the 3 o'clock here at Haydock. This is the Sky Bet Leicester Piggott Stakes over at 1.5 miles. This is a Group 3 event, one of the highlights on the card there. And Madara is the 11-4 favourite. Time Lock 3-1. Mimikyu is 7-2. Nactros is 7-1. Sea Silk Road is 8-1, and Poptronic is the outside of the field at 14-1. The reason that I go slow on Nactros is because I've got a feeling you're probably going to mention this horse.
I'm actually not. No, the German Raider coming over is, of course, I love picking the German or French Raider. Usually go off a few points too big, but I think that was kind of found in the market with Tunis last time out. And of course, didn't run any race whatsoever, and I think probably is priced in here with Nactros at 7-1. It's a very interesting race. You've got Madara, the very aesthetically pleasing, progressive filly, and then you've got those who are a little bit more experienced in Mimikyu and Time Lock. I think I'd probably decide for actually the experience of Time Lock over Madara. I think 2-1's way too short now. I've got to be honest. She could be very, very special, but she's got it all to prove. It was between Time Lock and Mimikyu for me, but I mean, Time Lock's got an £11 swing from when they met. I think it was either a year ago or 2 years ago, I forget now, when they had a brilliant battle up the straight, and they were 10 lengths clear of third that day. The Time Lock, I thought, had a good seasonal reappearance, won second at Goodwood, and I think probably will be primed for this. Ryan Moore's on board, so 3-1 for me. I think it's an all right bet.
Yeah, I actually think this is a really good bet. Probably my best bet of the day is Time Lock in this race. I think this horse's form, you look at the second at Goodwood on seasonal reappearance, but I mean, the ground probably wasn't in exact favour of this horse. This horse will love the quick going at Haydock. I'm pretty confident in that. And the form of that race has worked out to be quite good. I mean, Louisa Casardi won that race, but you had Voodoo Queen back down the field, and Voodoo Queen since ran a really nice race against Mimikyu, and ran Mimikyu really close. I know Mimikyu was second that day, but finished third against Mimikyu, so the form hasn't worked out too bad from that race there, and I've got a feeling this horse will take another big step forward, and I think Time Lock's quite an exciting horse actually. I don't think this horse has reached full potential yet, so you could see a lot more from this horse, and the Harry and Roger Charlton horses, they are starting to hit form as well, so you've got to take note of that. Ryan Moore on board, he's on absolute fire at the moment, so yeah, look, I'd have full confidence in Time Lock here. I think 3-1 might not be the worst price in the world, and I wouldn't be surprised to see this horse go off favourite on Saturday. Let's go on to the final race we look at then. It's the 7 furlong Sky Bet John of Gaunt Stakes at 3:35 there at Haydock. Another Group 3 contest, and the Australian Raider the Astrologist is 11-4 favourite of Ryan Moore on board. El Caballo is 3-1. Jumbie is 3-1. The Wizard of Eye is 5-1. Boardman is 12-1, and Garak is the course and distance and outside of the field at 100-1. I again found this really tricky because the Astrologist, you look at this horse's form, I know we can get excited over these international raiders and it's great to see them come over, but you look at this horse's form and you have to have some question marks, you really do. And the last run in the UK, look, I don't know if this horse just needed that run over here and could improve and take a massive step forward. I don't know. But again, I watched that and wasn't encouraged at all. I really think that, I know it's not May and I know it's not Chester, that Boardman might run a really massive race here. He's won over course and distance here. And you got to remember, he's won over course and distance on Good to Firm going last year. And he's run over this trip multiple times and shows how good he can be. He's 12-1. I don't think he's the worst each way bet in the world, to be totally honest. I think he's actually quite a good bet for the Easterby team. like I say, the course and distance form's there. I've got a feeling that with the question marks over the likes of El Caballo, who's had a couple of duck eggs to his name, and Jumbie, who I've just never been on the right side of, the question marks about the Australian Raider, the Wizard of Eye, who, I know he ran in the Lockings last time out, dropped back to 7's probably going to suit, but Boardman, I think, could be far too big at 12-1 each way in here, Jack. What about yourself?
Yeah, that's funny. He's one of my best bets of the week, I think.
Yeah, I can see
How
it.
funny is that? I really didn't expect you to put him up, actually. It's just because he is the classic horse who no one wants to back. The 7-year-old who has got Phil Dennis on board, trained by Tim Easterby. What's he doing winning a group race is probably what everyone's thinking. But let's not forget, he's 7, but he is progressing. That win at Chester last time out, when he came from pretty much the rear of the field, which isn't easy to do at Chester. I think 4th was kind of as far as you'd have to go back to see one that was in rear, actually, that actually came forward with him. The leaders didn't actually get too much of an easy lead, but nonetheless, I mean, to win at Chester by 3 lengths coming from the rear of the field is by no mean feat whatsoever. Off a mark of 97, I think he's got a great chance here on quick ground. As you say, he won at Haydock, beat Al Areb last April, and I don't think it's going to be any problem. I know he's actually a 2-time course and distance winner, so I think over the 7 furlongs at Haydock on the quick ground, it's not going to be any problem for Boardman whatsoever. And I think they do need to roll the dice here and run him in group company. As you said, there's a lot of questions up there. The astrologist, you completely understand why he's been backed, but look, it's one of those where you can happily go and let him do his thing and win at 9-4, and you go, yeah, fair enough, I was never going to back him anyway. Jumbie's a very consistent performer, but Boardman doesn't really have all that much to find on ratings with the like of Jumbie. El Caballo can't really trust after his last 2 outings, so I do think he's actually a cracking price, as you say. I think he could be one which actually just really enjoys this 7 furlong trip. Really wasn't suited to sprinting, a mile's probably a bit too far. He's very versatile ground wise, as I say. The quick ground shouldn't be an issue, and I think after that win at Chester, 12-1, too big a price.
Yeah, look, Jack mentioned there, potentially look one of the career best, and it was on RPRs, a 108 rating after that. And you've got to think, like, the last time this horse put up the only other time the horse put up an RPR bigger than 105 was actually back at Ripon last season against Shaleer in a mile handicap, and Shaleer went on to win a Balmoral. So you got to remember, this horse putting up a performance like that is really worth note taking. I do agree with Jack. This horse, even though one of the older horses in the field, is definitely progressive, I think could actually be a very good horse this season. He's a very lovable horse. So 12-1, an agreed selection for myself and Jack there. Best bet, you've kind of given it away there, but it'd be Boardman for yourself if there was one this weekend, Jack.
There's actually another one that I quite like at Chepstow, of all places, which is a very interesting one. But let me actually just get up the race that it's exactly in. Yeah, the 550, the opener at Chepstow tomorrow. It's a 5 furlong Class 6 handicap, Sam, and I'm putting up my best bet, who's rated 59. I think Desert's going to go quite well for Malcolm Saunders, and William Carson on board was a luckless 3rd last time out over course and distance in a tougher contest than this, dropping down in grade. I think he's probably going to go quite close off a mark of 59.
There you go. Another selection from Chepstow for Jack. Didn't expect that one. I'm going to be with Time Lock. I think look, Time Lock's going to be a decent bet of 3-1 for me. But I agree with Jack. I think Boardman would be one of my each way selections for this weekend. We'll have a quick, just 2-minute word, because I don't want to bore people, because they've probably heard plenty on this, on the Derby and the Classics from last weekend. Just some initial thoughts, Jack, on the Oaks, the Derby, and even if you want to give the French Derby, I was out there for that, and I thought that was an extreme performance from Ace Impact. What did you make of the Classics last weekend?
My favourite performance was Ace Impact's of the 3. He looked quite special, didn't he? It did remind me a lot of the Danes win last year. He's going to be very versatile, I think, over a mile and a quarter and a mile and a half. The time was absolutely electric. I mean, those fractions on board Big Rock were pretty much perfect. He gave him every chance of winning there. He ran a great race. He must have been proud to be there with Christopher Head. I know you had a chat with Christopher Head after as well. Auguste Rodin, look, he did what we thought he could have done when we were looking at the stable tours and what he kind of showed as a 2-year-old. But again, it was one of those that you kind of let him bounce back and win in good style. King of Steel ran an almighty race, which was great to see. Saw a couple of people gave him a big mention, which was nice. And Soul Sister, I was really pleased to see Save the Last Dance get beaten. I must say, to see the odds-on favourite get beaten, who you thought was just going to win. I was pleased to see her get Soul Sister get the better of her. It was a Frankie special for sure. She was travelling like an absolute dream. Going forward, it's quite hard to kind of crab the form or say it's amazing form at the moment. I think the French Derby is probably going to be the best of the 3. I think Auguste Rodin's going to still be the ledger. I'm not too sure where I actually win the ledger, mind, but it's a tricky one at this moment in time. But I'm keeping my mind open. But I think the Prix de Jockey Club's probably the best piece of form at the 3.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Soul Sister, I thought the speed that showed really good. I think she could actually be better over 10, to be totally honest. And it wouldn't actually shock me if we saw this horse turn up in a Nassau at Goodwood later in the season. I think that could be one of the potential targets, and she'd absolutely love it at Goodwood. I'm pretty confident in that. I think August Rodin was very good. We did expect that. In Aidan, we trust. He got this horse back, and after Little Big Bear won the previous week, we knew that this horse would money would come and more confidence would come for this horse, and end up getting the job done really well. And what Christopher Head said about Big Rock is that he ran an exceptional race. He did everything he could, but he was beaten not by a good horse, not by an excellent horse, by an exceptional horse. He described this horse as he thinks that Ace Impact is very, very good. I know he doesn't train it, but he can give his opinion. He thinks Ace Impact is top class. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finding out what Ace Impact does in the near future. I'm going to just put you on the spot with one quick question. You only got to give me one word answer. August Rodin or Ace Impact over 10 furlongs, who would you be with?
Ace Impact every single day of the week.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he could actually be the better horse, and I might get that completely wrong, but I think he's very, very smart. So
I think it does depend on ground as well. I think Ace Impact's shown a lot more turn of foot than Auguste Rodin showed over like a grueling middle distance contest. But I think Auguste Rodin's probably the better galloper of the two. But I think if it turned into a turn of foot contest or something like that over a mile and a half or a mile and a quarter, I think Ace Impact comes out on top.
Yeah, no, I got a feeling they'll go down the Sotsas route of Ace Impact. I don't think they'll go for the Arc this year, but they might end up going it for the following year, and they might keep this horse at 10 furlongs, and maybe the Irish Champion Stakes or something along those lines could be on the agenda. I know Big Rock, the plan is to work back potentially from the British Champion Stakes, which is quite exciting for us because we'll be there that day, and it'll be a hell of a moment.
Just a quick one, Sam. Just to fly back at you. I know everyone's probably getting a bit bored now. Now we've seen all but one of the classics. Who's your most exciting 3-year-old? Did you say?
Or, see, I'd say Ace Impact, but if you wanted to say out of fillies and colts, Blue Rose Sen is still top class. I think she is the star, and looking at her and the words Chris Head said, I know like I've got this real like in my head, like everything I want to do is back Christopher Head horses, but I will be honest with some horses, like if I don't think they'll win, I will say, but I got a feeling this horse has taken a massive step forward from the Poolage. I think she's still improving. I think she's actually a good bet in the Prix de Diane. We'll be previewing that in a couple of weeks as well, but I think she's a really good bet in that. I don't think Running Lion is all that good, to be totally honest, looking at the form of that race. I think Ponce de Jour is probably the main danger, and it's obvious in the market, but we haven't seen that horse for a little while now. I know we saw the horse at the start of the season. The form's worked out okay. I wouldn't say it's worked out excellent, but she did it in good style. So Blue Rose Sen, it's hers to lose. I think Christopher Head said we'd love another classic, and I said don't be greedy, and he said we want to be greedy. So look, I'd love to see her go and win that, but I think she's definitely one of the most talented fillies. I know Tahira's also there with Morge, but if they all came up against each other, I think I'd probably think Blue Rose Sen would be a bit of a price compared to those two, and I'd probably side with her. So we won't see it, but that's my opinion. So yeah, Blue Rose Sen the most exciting filly, and Ace Impact the most exciting colt for me, and they're both from France. You?
I'd probably go Tahira, but I really think Mostabshir could be a top class miler. I really think the Sussex could be on his agenda. I'm not too sure he'll be good enough to win the St James's Palace, but I can see him staying on for second and then going on to the Sussex and being quite special, because that form last time out, which he won, just keeps getting better and better and better. So Mostabshir is probably the one that I'd take out of the 3-year-olds other than Tahira.
And if you want to hear what Jack had to say about Mostabshir, I won't actually give a full spoiler, but do check out our Royal Ascot preview video. I'll link it down below. You can give that a watch. I think we both give about 4 selections for the Royal meeting. So do check that out. It's definitely worth getting involved with. And that's it for this weekend. As always, leave your comments down below. Keep getting your naps in, because we will shout them out on the following weeks. If you do land your nap, we'll give a few shout outs on the next week's video. Like, comment, share and subscribe as always, and we will see you again next weekend. Thanks for watching.